welcome everybody to the JeffersonKRogers podcast. What is the date today?
The 15th?
February 15th on a Monday. I got Mr. Block A, J-Rod here with me. And we're going to have to come up with something as unique as the Hobbit for J-Rod. Maybe J-Rod is what it is.
Yeah. I've been rolling with it for a good little while now. And it
is that what we always called you, like your rapping name too? J-Rod?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was J-Rod.
Okay, so it's J-Rod.
J-R-O to the D.
And the Hobbit.
I'm the Hobbit.
Yep.
Short, hairy, and always brings the scary.
That's right. Watch out.
Let's go, Block A.
When I hear that, I just imagine like bats flying out of your beard or something like that. Something scary.
They tend to do that. No, but when I got the name Hobbit, though, I was like clean shaven, so I looked like an innocent young hobbit because I'm hairy everywhere else.
It makes way more sense now.
Yeah, but now I look more like a dwarf, like I'm Gimli's brother.
Yeah,
like,
that's what you remind me of. Is
my ox.
The guy from The Hobbit that carries the great big axe.
Yeah.
But he was a dwarf, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was like a mountain dwarf.
Yeah, you remind me of Gimli.
So now I look
sure.
more like one of those, but that's where the name came from.
Has he shown you the picture with him all clean shaven?
I don't think I've seen a clean-shaven picture.
He's
Oh,
like,
like a child.
He didn't just point it out. He's like, which one do you think it is? I got the right one, but yeah, it's way different.
It took you a minute, though.
Yeah,
it took you a minute.
Yeah.
Because I look like a child, a baby face killer.
That's awesome. How long ago was that one taken?
I mean, I haven't been clean shaven for probably like 2 years. Like I shaved for like a Halloween costume because I was Mario. So I just kept the
left the beard,
kept the mustache.
Did you do it blacked out?
No, because Mario's kind of got browner hair.
Oh, does he?
I think Luigi's the one with the black hair.
Oh, okay.
Though. Yeah.
I think they both have black hair.
So what do we call this one? Is this going to be episode 0-1?
I think
or are we
so.
going episode 1?
I think we're gonna have to put a couple zeros in front of it. 001.
001.
Because we're gonna take this podcast and we're gonna be doing podcasts in the hundreds.
Yeah,
Eventually.
it'll end up in the thousands.
Yeah.
Sure. Why stop there?
So
Possibly millions.
I say we just
Millions.
go ahead and make it official as episode number 1, running out of our Draper, Utah office,
Exactly.
February 15th, 2021.
Yes.
Yep.
And we'll
just
call,
past noon.
last one was session 000. Just
000.
session 0.
Testing
session 0, and now we're live. This is the first
Turned out
one.
good.
It did turn out good.
Turned out good. I'm excited about
yeah.
today.
I was really impressed. I watched it right afterwards, and I mean, just the flow of conversation, everything. It was awesome. Like I said, I had my kids watching it.
Hey, listen, we're naturals.
Yeah.
Hey, look at us.
Yep.
Look at it. Look at me in the eyes. Look at. Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Okay. We're
Good to go.
then.
All right.
We're good then. Okay, so a couple topics for today.
Yeah.
We're going to be a little more organized as we move forward here, right?
Yeah.
We're at least going to try.
I think we had planned for you, Jeff, to kind of rattle off your mission statement, like define what is this podcast.
So the JeffersonKRogers podcast, I've had it rattling around in my head for a long time of what it was going to be, why we were going to do it. And it's important to me. Like, people were also asking me why I'm writing a book and how I'm going to monetize it. And it was like, does it have to be about monetizing it? Can't it just be that I got a lot of cool shit to share with people and people need to hear my story? If you got a story, people need to hear it.
Yep.
Amen to that.
So I think the mission statement is, I mean, we haven't written anything down for a mission statement. I'm not that good at mission statements. I may need your guys' help when we actually articulate that.
Well, I mean, we were kind of riffing earlier on it. Just really describing the path and the journey, and like you mentioned earlier, kind of showing people your path, right? And people that they feel like they have potential, they feel like they're not meeting the potential, and it's just kind of they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Well, pay attention. Because we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah, listen.
You got to plug in somewhere to get some inspiration.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
I like the mission. Sorry to cut you off. I like the mission statement as something along these lines. We'll riff on it later, but like you always say, being the best possible version of yourself. So something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not trying to be someone else. You're not trying to accomplish someone else's dream. It's yours. It's very
best possible version of yourself.
Best possible.
Every single day.
Yeah. You
and
say
doing
that
a little
lot.
bit more today so you can get there tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
To some degree. But
yeah, I agree. And I think, when we were talking earlier about my vision of who our avatar or who our audience is, it's people that are in our situations right now or have been where we were a year, 2 years, 3 years ago, that are searching for something. They don't quite know what it is yet, and just a little bit of direction that, for the most part, some of us figure that shit out as we go. And a lot of things go in one ear and out the other. But this is an opportunity, if you're listening, to take some lessons that we have learned through our struggles and apply them without having to go out and learn it the hard way.
Yes. And then also an important factor is that all three of us, we have limited experiences as well. We're not quite at the top of our game yet, and we're on the journey too. So we're hoping to bring some guests on, and Jeff's been rubbing shoulders with some awesome people, so we're going to bring them on the show and have them fill in the gaps that we don't know yet, so we can grow too. I think that's huge.
Lifelong journey of educating yourself, getting better, 1% better,
forever a
every
student.
day.
And you gotta tune into that frequency, right? And like we were talking earlier, what are some topics that we can cover? And I brought up one of them was luck. Now, luck, in my opinion, I just finished The Richest Man in Babylon, and they bring up that concept, and it's really like a combination of preparation meets opportunity equals luck, or just setting an intent, right? So say for me specifically, I was at a place in my life where I knew that I needed more. I knew that I was capable of so much more, and I had just never had fulfilled it. I just wasn't on the path yet. And I set my intent. I wrote it down. Get around a group of strong-minded individuals that are goal-oriented. And within a week of that, Mr. JeffersonKRogers reaches out to me.
Synchronicity, man. I remember you telling me that like day one.
Yeah.
With almost tears in your eyes.
Yep.
Like looking for an answer.
Yep.
And I think this was it.
It was it. Exactly what I needed when I needed it. And I put it out there. And within a week, it was answered. And I got around that group of people. And, put me on the path. I got a long way to go, but I'm on it. And appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Thanks for reaching out.
Absolutely. That luck, I don't know what to think about luck, but I do feel like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And
Exactly.
the more good things that just are in front of you just because you're manifesting those things into your life.
Yeah. And, if people listening to this podcast, listening to that little segment, they might think, oh, hey, these guys are pretty religious. We're talking about praying and stuff or whatever. But one of my great mentors, and I think everybody's here is at some point, is Napoleon Hill. And he talks about it in that Outwitting the Devil book he wrote. People pray wrong, right? Prayer doesn't have to be a religious thing. Like people pray for a lot of fluff. But you're just appeasing the laws of nature, whether it's prayer or you actually taking action and manifesting something, right? You're appeasing the laws of nature, whether you do it through a Christian faith or a Muslim faith or whatever faith. It doesn't even have to be a faith. It can just be you being looking for something that's true to yourself. You're trying to
and finding that other self.
Yeah, and so I think
he refers to.
There's a lot of parallels there, and I think religion is onto something, but I think they miss the mark in a lot of places.
Right.
Or they don't fully hit the mark, and I think.
When it could just be, they're dialed into it, but it's like, okay, well, let me kind of skew this for my agenda, right?
Could be, yeah. Or maybe it's, because it works for a lot of people. You hear all these miracles of people of faith doing that. But even, would you consider that a miracle, even though you're not a person of faith? It's kind of like a...
I don't feel like it's a miracle. I just feel like I tuned into what I needed to tune into. And I think that's what prayer is, especially you get a group of people that are like-minded and that are all focused on the same intent, same goal.
Yeah.
And things start to manifest itself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be
exactly
religious for that to happen. It's just a law of nature.
So maybe
that
it's
they tap
this,
into.
then. Maybe it's the laws of nature, but everybody puts a different label on it.
Or the laws of the universe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone puts a different label on it, whether it's a religious label or it's ours. But there's power there in you seeking for something, seeking for improvement, seeking to better your situation, putting in the effort and taking action. And then that, like, I don't know, what would it be, 20%, 10% more that, like, the universe gives you, and we call it luck, right? Like, I don't know. Just throwing out some ideas there, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could ever put a percentage on it.
Right. It's tailored
But
for the situation.
It's like the affirmations and the power of writing your goals down every day and speaking them and writing them and thinking them into existence.
Yeah.
That's happened to me. I mean, my entire life that stuff has happened to me. That synchronicity of things that you have just basically thought into existence.
And you know, and it's so important to understand the power of your thoughts and the power of the words that you actually vocalize, whether it be good or bad, right? Mm-hmm. So in getting on the path, I mean, you have to have a certain positivity and way of thinking about yourself and value that you place on yourself. But on the other side of that, you know, just the negative thoughts that people have or the negative comments that they make. I mean, it spreads like wildfire, and I mean, it takes you further from the path. So you got to understand the power of the positive thinking and the power of the negative thinking, and where is it exactly you want to be. And you got to tune into that positivity if you want to get on that path, because that negative is just going to pull you off. And I don't know, man. A lot of people, they get on that negative path, or like that's just I don't know. I think I'm having trouble expressing it, but
no, I think, like, if you think about just like casual conversations you've had, maybe you're at a party or a family reunion or it's the holidays, and you're asking about someone, how they're doing, and like I can picture myself saying the things. I remember the things I have said in the past, and they're these tiny little excuses that I've leaned on. Or like, hey, did you take that guitar song? Did you record it? And I'm like, nah, I'm not good enough for that. Or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. People have these little excuses like, oh, no, I can't really make that happen in my life. And they vocalize it.
I can't. You know what?
I can't.
My daughter last night, we were playing Guess Who on my bed. I was there doing some work on my phone, and my girls, they just go wherever I am.
Yeah.
And they know that they have to do that. So they brought the game to the bed where I was at one point trying to get away from them for a minute. They bring it to me. Yeah. And she goes to back up, and she says, I can't. I don't have any more room. And she goes, oh, dang it. Dad, I'm not doing push-ups for that one. Because I make my kids do push-ups if they say, I can't. And then
That's
I
a
say,
good idea.
okay, now remember why I make you do that. And explain to me why I made you do that. Because just any of that negativity, any of those, any of the self-doubt or those beliefs or that repetition of saying I can't, no matter how stupid and silly it is, about saying I can't back up a little bit, she knows now, as soon as she says I can't, that's going to stick with her the rest of her life.
Yeah.
That I've been teaching her she can, and you can, and you're great, and you're good at that, and you can figure it out. And if you think about it for a second before you talk and think something negative at all, you just keep that to yourself. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
But now you're speaking only positivity, and you're aware of those things before they come out.
Exactly.
Before you're speaking them into existence.
Yep.
It's the same. It has the same power as the positive on the negative side.
Well, and I'll see my kids, they'll because there's a frustration that comes before the I can't. And it's like, okay, I know you're frustrated. I know you're saying you can't, but you can. First, let's take a deep breath. Just relax. Okay.
When you got two little girls, there's lots of, okay, take a deep breath now.
Yep. With my daughter all the time. And you can just see it in her eyes. She just starts getting her eyes start welling up a little bit. It's like, hey, just take a deep breath, relax. We'll can do this. Yep. You know, it's just so important to instill that stuff early, make those habits early.
Absolutely.
Instead of being in your 30s before you actually figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, think about the jump start we could have had if that was laid, expected.
Mm-hmm.
So nice work on that, dude. Push-ups, I like that.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
You know who I got that from?
Who?
Art Williams.
Really?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's old school.
Old school.
So
I
he
heard
do that
him,
with his kids,
I
or
heard
just
him
do that
say
in general?
In one of his speeches, yeah. I saw him speak at a convention in Atlanta, Georgia in like 2012. Powerful man.
Yeah.
And he's just a good old football coach from Georgia.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good segue, because one of the topics that we wrote down was proximity to power, proximity to greatness,
Yeah. Yep.
And it's you going to that convention,
Oh,
making it a priority, put whatever resources you needed to get there, you got there. And look, that's changing your kids' lives.
And listen, making impacts wherever we go. Making an impact on you guys too. Maybe you start doing that with your kids.
Yeah, no, I'm going to.
But maybe it's
Absolutely.
not the same thing. But there's a seed planted now, like that negativity, any bit of that negative self-talk on any level is going to affect you
Yeah.
or your kids.
Would you say it's natural to think that? I'm sure like it's natural to have like a little negative pop up. And I think the more you get rid of that, it's easier. It won't happen.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
But as soon as you vocalize it, like I might be looking at something and I go, oh, in my head, I'm like, oh, shit, I can't do that. And then, but if I say it out loud, then it's like for sure now. Now it's been
You just solidified it.
Now it's open. It's out there in the universe. I created that with my mouth.
Yep.
But if I don't say it,
No, I think it is. Like if it's a little bit of human nature to have that self-doubt, and the numbers speak for themselves. There's a very small percentage of people that ever accomplish anything with their lives, and I think those are the people that are able to overcome and implement the positivity that overpowers the negativity instead of vice versa. Because most people, all their negative and their drama overpowers any positivity that will ever be allowed into their life.
and like at points in my life, I found I had excuses in my back pocket ready to go because I knew I was lacking. And then I think that's another form of negativity. I'd be like, well, I can't because of this.
Yeah.
And I'd have that ready. I was like a fucking gunslinger, dude, but I was just shooting excuses like, oh, well, I can't because, I'm not wearing my skate shoes. I can't do a kickflip.
Yep.
How many, did you know a kid like that growing up? We're skating and like he's like talking a big game and you're like, hey, can you do that kickflip? He's like, I don't have if I had my different skate shoes on,
Absolutely.
I could do it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's something that it took me till I was damn near 30 to realize the excuses that I was utilizing regularly, you know. And
you
then
gotta have perspective, and that comes from proximity to people that are thinking at a higher level. Because otherwise, you get in your comfort zone and you surround yourself with people that are either at your level or below your level, and you're never able to gain a higher perspective because you're only ever around people like you or below you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's because my late 20s is when I started kind of tuning into like podcasts and things like this, and that's when I started listening to like say Tim Ferriss and just or even finding out who like Jocko was, and that's I think when that really started to turn. And luckily we're in an age to where we have sources like that or resources like that, and that's really when it started to turn for me, and I started to look inward and understand the things that I did that limited me, those natural inclinations to make an excuse. Because I've always had all the confidence in the world, but then you got a bunch of excuses to make up for whatever the lack of things that you have. And I mean, it's all just bullshit at the end of the day. So, and then for me, what's really starting to change, say, my view on things right now is getting around people that are successful. Because you see them and it's like, especially in the flesh, right? It's not this guy you see on Instagram or that you see on YouTube or that you're listening to on a podcast. He's standing in front of you and you're picking his brain. And then you realize it's just another man. He's just got some things figured out a little bit more than I do. And then you can start feeding off of that, you know. And say like for you specifically, I mean, I have tons of respect, and just being around you, it's like, okay, I don't have room for bullshit because he doesn't have room for bullshit. And I wrote down to be around people like you, you know. And if I'm going to be around people like you, I want to be like people like you, or I don't have room for none of that shit, you know? And you're the type of person, like, it's funny when I see people talking their bullshit, you see right through it, and then you call them out on it. It's the funniest shit because I see it coming, and then you fucking do it, and I'm like, yep, saw that one coming.
It's true, man. There's a huge
vibe. You've gotten so good at it now that you will take over before I even have a chance to talk.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know what's coming.
Stop it.
Yep, I know it's coming, so I'm like, let me nip this, especially if it's one of my guys, you know? I'm like, let me nip this in the bud because I know what's coming. Mm-hmm. But in other times I'll sit back because it's, there's kind of a hierarchy within our company, obviously. And, you know, maybe if it's something that I've said before, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to let them hear from Jeff, you know, because sometimes things resonate a little bit better depending on who's saying it, you know?
Yeah. And, like, it's really important, like, who you're around really rubs off on you. I think everyone tends to make things a little more difficult or a little more complicated than they need to be. It's really as simple as this. If you align with positive things, you'll have a positive experience. If you align with negative things, you have a negative experience. And you kind of like, you make and develop these neural pathways in your head. And this is coming from Napoleon Hill again. But he talks about it, how the more negative you are, the more of a rut you dig for yourself, and then your mind thinks that way because those negative pathways are connected. And then if you start doing that in a positive sense, it's the same thing. It's a positive, you know, neural network that you just think positively, and that's your first response. So being around people like you who have a drive, who have a passion and a vision and can share it articulately is huge. So if anyone listening to this, if you want to get better, if you want to move up in life or whatever, like we're doing, I feel like I'm finally on a good path. I just got to go walk it. Mm-hmm. But you have to get around people, like get rid of stuff in your life, get stuff gone. It's done. Walk away from people.
And then you start getting, so once you get around those people, you get on the path, and then you'll start realizing, I've heard you say it before, it's like, you know, I'm just not into playing games like I was because I feel like it's not serving me.
Exactly.
You know? So then you start, that little voice in you, it's always there, but it gets louder and it gets louder.
Yeah.
And the more you listen to it, the better it serves you, and the more that becomes the dominant voice.
Yeah, like my hobbies, I have a lot of hobbies, like too many. And they were like my priority, you know. That's why I got enjoyment, and I still do. I enjoy them and get fulfillment from them. But whether it was music or skateboarding or whatever, video games was a big one because that's just easier to do, and I got a lot of friends on there. And I'll go play with them every now and then, but it's just I feel like it's just exactly what you said. It's not serving me. Why? Because I'm around these type of people, and I have a clear goal, and the path is in front of me. And it's steep as fuck.
Yep.
And it doesn't look cool.
But you just get one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I mean, you just grind. But then you start enjoying the grind. Mm-hmm. And then you're in that flow state. We were riffing on that earlier. But anyway, yeah, that's an awesome topic to talk about, dude. Just being around people, it allows you to grow and feed off of them.
Well, and it's awesome to notice your own growth, but also to notice that growth in other people. Like, say, Bobby, for example. I mean, he was the type, and this was not very long ago, where it was all talk and no action. These days, he doesn't say a whole lot. He's more thinking about the actions, you know. And I just remember I kind of had it out with him a little while ago, and I gave him a piece of my mind. And
just about how he carries himself in the meetings?
No, this was before he started with us. Just kind of, he was always talking a big game and never backing it up, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, again, we're all on the path. We all have a long way to go. But compared to how I feel about him now and the things that he does now and the way he carries himself now, it's completely different. And I forgot about having it out with him and giving him a piece of my mind. What was it, 6, 7, 8 months ago, or however long ago it was? Forgot all about it. And the other day I was driving and I remembered it. And I was like, holy shit, I forgot all about that because I don't feel that way about him anymore. So I called him up and I just commended him and told him, like, you know, you have my respect. And it's funny how different I feel about you now as compared to then. And I mean, like, I have nothing but admiration for the path that you're on. And
How old is
22.
he? 22 years old.
Almost 23. And in less than a year, he's gone from a person that I'm like, basically, all right, yeah, he is what he is. It's whatever. Gave him one last shot because I heard him talking about all these menial things that he was up to. I'm like, look, let me just give you one more shot. This is what I want you to do. If you can do this, then I'll give you the shot. He did what he needed to do. He got his foot in the door, and it hasn't been perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
But like his mindset right now, as compared to what it was before, I mean, it's completely different.
Yep.
And,
He made some.
And it's for me,
changes.
it's so gratifying and fulfilling to be a part of that, because I know without bringing him into this circle of people, into this atmosphere, he'd be that same punk kid that just talking this big old game but never doing shit. Now
he's putting in the work.
He's putting in the work, and he's not talking about
more and more consistent.
Yep.
Talking a whole lot less.
And doing a whole lot more.
Bobby is
fucking awesome.
firing right now.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard, he recorded some of his approaches on the door.
Did he?
Dude,
it's good.
Slick Rick, man.
Yep.
He's smooth. And he did this awesome takeaway from this guy. He's like, hey, if it's not for you, I'll walk away. And the guy's like, oh, wait. And it's on audio. Like, he got it. It was amazing.
Yep.
So, yeah, Bobby's really, I think it's kind of a maturity, too, that just comes with growing up. But being around, high operating people or people that have goals and are driven, like at JKR, it just really helps.
Yep.
So that's the formula, really. Be around the right people at the right place, right time.
Remember how I said earlier that I really like the name School of Greatness?
Mm-hmm.
Lewis Howes. I saw him speak at 10X Growth Conference back in 2018. And one of the inspirations to do a podcast was listening to him and his mission, coming from being a professional football player and applying some of those principles and his stories to his podcast. So I just wrote this down as we were talking about some concepts, and I just Googled if it's available.
I can't see that. I don't got my glasses on.
And it's
Proximity
to greatness.
Huh. I dig that.
I like it.
Let's do a little logistics pause here, and let's ask Mallory some questions. Mallory, how are we doing on the stream? Sehr good.
Does it tell you how many people are watching us? Awesome. We got
view.
one viewer.
We have one
Big
viewer.
shout out to that viewer, whoever
you are. Thanks, Mom. Love you.
It's most likely
Thank you, Tina.
This computer.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
We're watching ourselves.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on my phone, so we have two.
Yeah, do it. And this is a learning experience. We got to plug this beforehand, and we'll get that down. But this is going on YouTube. It'll be archived too, so people can come back and revisit.
Absolutely.
We can share the links. But we'll ask that. Maybe we'll let this stew on the comments for a little bit.
Okay, one of the things that I was just thinking of as I was trying to do too many things at the same time, listen, type, Google search. One of the principles that helped me out early on back in 2017, and I took a hold of this, and I was pretty serious about it, is that the negativity. And I know I've talked to you guys about this too. The negative influences in your life, the people, the media, the music, all of it, you have to get rid of. If you're going to do anything significant with your life, and you're tired of all the same patterns that you've been repeating over and over and over, and you know that same group of patterns isn't going to get you anywhere, the first thing that doesn't seem like it would be all that significant is the negativity, even the little stuff like the music and the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Have more power than you think.
Absolutely.
So very early on, I was like 100% committed to getting all of this negativity out of my life. And it was, it took me probably 2 months from the first time I heard the concept to really start going all in on it, to where if somebody was having one of those conversations where they're talking shit on somebody, I was like, you guys save that conversation for somebody else, because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Or if I'm walking into my dad's house and they're watching some freaking crime show with the music and everything and all the negativities like reverberating through the room, I was like, you guys got to turn that shit off.
Just ominous.
Just while I'm here. I mean, you guys can pick it up right where you left off when I'm gone, but I can't listen to that while I'm here. That's just too much negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have negativity. I don't have room for negativity in my life. The places that I'm going and the people that I'm trying to meet and the things that I'm trying to accomplish, you don't have room for that negativity in your life. And family is a big one. And it's like, it's kind of a tough subject too, because, you know, when I bring this up to somebody, like we were talking to Bobby, like this environment that he's in, you know, you got to get out of that environment.
Yep.
I mean, I know you love your family, but there's too much negativity in that house for you to ever really start reaching your full potential in that environment.
Yeah.
There's just too much. It's heavy. I can feel it when he comes to the office, how heavy it is.
Yeah. Do you think, because you've tuned out all the negativity in your life, and some people might be thinking, well, that's a little dramatic, but it's really not, because when you think about what's at stake, sorry, I didn't say it right. What's at stake?
State of the Union?
Yeah, what's at State of the Union? What's at stake is, like, what is at stake? It's your future.
Yeah.
It's your family's, your kids' future. It's your
kids'
legacy.
Your
or lack
financial
thereof.
well-being.
And what you don't realize at that time when somebody is saying that's a little extreme, buddy, it's like, this is your family, remember? It's like, I know it's my family. I'm doing it for their own good too.
Yeah.
And now here it is. Like, I remember the first time I did that, I walked in and my mom and dad are watching this show. And I told them, like, straight up, I was like, I can't stay here. It's like, I was going to come chit chat, but this show you guys are watching, you got to turn that shit off. And, you know, 3 years later, who knows if it had an effect or not. But I told them why. It's like all the negativity in that, in the music, in the voice that's telling the story, and the story itself is so negative. I don't know how you guys do this to yourself all day long.
Yeah.
That you don't know how powerful that negativity is to you. So you're making impacts on people, whether you think you are or not, or how extreme it is or not. You're making impact by explaining why, not just saying, you guys are, you know what I mean. You can go down a whole nother route and approach it a way that's going to rub people the wrong way and be abrasive.
Sure.
But I've tried not to do that, even though in the beginning, you know, I have a hard time doing that because I'm so fucking focused. This is my mission. These are things that are on my radar. And if you're not a part of that mission, or if you're going to get in my way, I'm going to plow your ass over, or I'm going to leave you in the dust. But what I've tried to do during the process is bring people along and help them understand why I'm doing this, because everybody needs to know this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm 30-something years old learning all this stuff for the first time. It's just like eye-opening how powerful these concepts are if you can grasp them and embrace them.
Yep.
Exactly.
Especially when you watch the fruits of it grow, you know, because it's all like conceptually, it's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'm going to be positive, it's going to do that. But when you're actually doing it and you're living it, and then you see your life changing, I mean, that's when it's like, wow, let me kind of ramp this up a little bit. And, you know, to your point, you can't be so abrasive about it that people want to avoid you. Like there's a little bit of tact, you know, tact involved with it. But I don't know, man. It's just and it's weird. It's like negativity. It's like the natural inclination, like just to start talking crap, complaining, right?
Well, from where we come, it is.
Yeah.
Just because that was our environment. That's what we grew up in. So I think it's probably a little bit of just genetics and bringing stuff with us throughout our genetic history.
Yeah.
But then also just our upbringing, like the negativity, the consistency of the negativity, and the gossiping and the broke talk, like money doesn't grow on trees, and all that shit we grew up hearing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sticks with you. It's hard to get rid of. And the proximity to greatness is one of the things that helps bring awareness to that.
Absolutely.
What do we got? Somebody peeking in?
Just Jared walking by. Jared.
So,
yeah, I agree 100%, man. It's like, if you... I just lost my train of thought.
Damn it.
Damn it. Train's left the station,
So-
my train of thought.
Now, going back to the family thing. So, we all love our families. Unfortunately, not all of us have the most positive families to be around.
Or some, like my family, they really like to be comfortable. They're pretty positive people,
Yeah.
but they're just so damn comfy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, come with us on this vacation. Oh, spend some time over here, do this stuff.
Yeah. Like they're living in slow motion.
Yeah, and that's what they want, and that's awesome, and they can do it, and they're hard workers, and they earn their living and do that.
Yes.
But I'm like, I'm trying to tell my family, my parents mainly, like what I'm trying to do, and they're like, hey, we got this trip coming up, well, you're not coming. I'm like, that's a whole week off. Like I'm not allowed yet. I'm personally not allowed to take a full week off yet because I haven't achieved what I'm here to do. Like I'm on the path. I can't deviate from this path. For like I'll slip up every now and then because I'm human and I'm developing myself.
Yeah. And you can feel the momentum.
Exactly. Momentum is everything in sales. So it's like I can't do that for a week, and they want me to go, and it's going to be this awesome trip. And last year because of COVID, our trips got canceled, and I'm like, that's cool, but you kind of almost have to, you have to disappear for a while if you're really trying to be a better person, to be a better version of you. And Jeff's pretty intense about it, right? He's like cold turkey. And that's how I think you did a lot of stuff. Cold turkey with sobriety. You're like, bam, it's happening today. You're like, negativity? No fucking way. Negativity? no fucking way. It's gone. I'm done with it today. And you don't tolerate it at all. Mm-hmm. Some people kind of ease into it a little more. Yeah. They do it differently.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's not a lot of people like me.
Yeah.
That are cold turkey like that and all in. That's why I'm calling the book All In, because it's been those types of situations and the manufactured change of trajectories or change of perspective or mindset that has helped me be able to accomplish what I've accomplished. Yeah. And just be able to pull the trigger on something and go all in.
Well, and when I tell people about like our goals as a company and they kind of give me a sideways look, I'm like, it starts with the top and it starts with leadership. And he's up at 4:15 every morning. He's writing his goals out. He's hitting the gym. He's doing everything that he can in his power, and that's our leader. That's who's leading us towards these goals. So I have all the conviction in the world that it's going to happen because, everything that you're doing. It's like from the moment you get up, and it doesn't matter what time you went to bed. You're still getting up. You're still doing what you got to do every day, and then that trickles down to us. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And then. It influences us to do better ourselves. And, we're all not you. You're not us. But you have that influence. And that's why we are going to reach our goals, is because it starts from the top, starts with the leadership. And shit runs downhill. Mm-hmm. And
that's what leadership is.
Exactly.
Influence.
Yep.
And you could deliver that completely wrong. Because I've met a lot of guys like you. They're all in. They're all or nothing. They're very high-octane people that get shit done. Like special forces operators, Marine sergeants I had in the military. And they deliver it and they package that completely wrong to people.
Yeah.
It's like
abrasively.
You should be on my level or fuck you.
Yep.
It's abrasive. You're not with me. They give you one chance at it and then you're like, man, I'm not used to operating at this level yet. I gotta work on it.
Give me a minute to catch up.
Yeah.
So oh, you're late. Fuck you. You're gone. Like they're like that so much, and I'm sure maybe even you were like that.
It's a difficult thing that comes along with leadership, is having patience for people.
Exactly.
Because we have people in every walk of life coming in here of all age groups, starting at Sophie was 17 years old.
Was she?
She was 17 years old, and she was phenomenal. But that age group for me is the most challenging because you have to have such patience with people. Mm. It's like they're not going to be able to go from here to here just like that.
Especially because some of them, they know the right stuff to say, but they can't do the right stuff, So it's that battle. It's
they don't have the habits yet. They don't have enough time or consistency or reps doing positive things
And just kind of the forward thinking. It's like, well, I'm going to do what's comfortable for me right now, thinking that they're still going to get what they want later. Mm-hmm. And then it's like they need to be hammered over and over again with that experience, and to finally get the concept.
You can overwhelm people. Not only can you be abrasive and say you got to get on my level or you're fucking gone, but you can give them too much and too wide of a perspective early for their little brains.
Yeah.
These are very intellectual people, like Kobe, Bobby,
like my guy Asher,
Noah, Asher. We're dealing with these are high level dudes, and they're in a good environment that they can be able to maximize on that. So when you're talking to these people, they're very intellectual and they're very smart, and you can chop them down just like that.
Yeah.
So that leadership and the reps at speaking to people and hearing their story and being empathetic are so important, because you can burn somebody out just like that, by overloading them and making them feel like they got to get on your level right now, or they're just not going to fit in here.
And it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Like I used to coach high school lacrosse down in Utah County, Pleasant Grove girls team. If you guys ever check this out, my hat's off to you, but it's underneath my headset, so I'm not going to take it off. But awesome group of girls, and like I coached them their varsity team their senior year, most of them, and like I had to be a little bit abrasive because you're coaching a sport. It's like very physical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to push them. And same thing, like if you were.
That's just where you were at that time, is your leadership capabilities called for a little abrasiveness.
Yeah. And it's something you can dabble in there. You can throw it in like you're Gordon Ramsay, just like throwing some spices in there, like woohoo.
If you were to go straight back to women's lacrosse right now, you would coach on a whole different level.
I would. Exactly, because I've grown a lot. That was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. Like if I was going to lead a squad of Marines, like you can be abrasive to a level, and you have to be too, because what's at stake? People's lives are on the line sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of times in the infantry. What's at stake for a girls lacrosse team? Winning or losing and building some character? Yeah. But what's at stake for JKR Windows and our employees? Well, personal development, right? Personal improvement. And that's a direct reflection of what, J-Ron?
Leadership.
And your paycheck. Remember that thing?
Oh, yeah.
I teed you up.
Teed me up, and I failed, and it's like my quote.
Yeah, like the personal improvement aspects, J-Rod always says, that's a direct reflection of my paycheck.
Absolutely.
If I get up in the morning and I work out and I'm consistently in that,
Your paycheck
my
is going to
paycheck
show
grows.
for it.
Yep.
And that's what I think you're doing, Jeff, with this book. They're like, well, what, you want to monetize it? And you're like, well, yeah, like, duh, but like, I'm not, we'll worry about that later, because you're chasing an impact, and then monetary gain and success will follow. And that's what you've done in your personal life. You know, you're physically fit and healthy. Was this the best shape of your life you've ever been in?
I think I may have been in better shape right before I did that motocross race.
Oh.
February, right before the COVID hit.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was like right when I came on.
Yeah.
Like
I was
within a week.
It was like a week or two after
Yeah.
that you came on. I had just finished that motocross race.
Right.
And freaking smoked everybody. I put some work in. So I had Taylor bring that up this morning. He said, I saw you do a podcast right before you were going to do that motocross race, and you were lean. You look like you're 180 pounds, because he asked me what I was at today. And I'm in great shape and stronger than I've ever been. But as far as like stamina, endurance, like motocross style shape, that was the best shape I've ever been in.
Right. I guess that's a good point. There's like different physical physiques you could acquire, like triathletes versus like someone doing heavy deadlifts and stuff.
Well, it's crazy having different physiques, like for just you individually. Like I've been like really muscle bound, and then I've also been more of like went for like an athletic look.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I felt so much better when I was going for a more of an athletic look and movement and everything, because like my shoulders started hurting.
I like having a mix between the two.
Yeah, a good little mix. But
Where were you going with that anyway?
yeah, sorry, but
Where was I going?
You asked
Somewhere.
me if I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah, and like, I mean, you know that like when you're in this shape, when you're firing at this, like on a mental and a physical level, that translates directly into you developing JKR and making a financial
Yeah, absolutely.
living for yourself, for your family, and for all of your employees.
Mental clarity was a big one,
Mental clarity, yeah.
because, I had the thought cross my mind when I was working for that other company, and I'd even told one of the guys, because I was kind of disgruntled. I was supposed to be one of the partners in that other one, and I was too busy dicking off to be a part of it. So I take 100% responsibility for that. But I was still a mess and addicted and blaming and not taking responsibility at that point. But the mental clarity that came with getting sober and being there in bed going through withdrawals that was where the clarity came that this is the time. This is my moment. I'm already doing everything anyways, and I'm doing it at a high level. I know I can take it to the next level. But it took me facing those demons of quitting the weed and the alcohol. It was a scary, scary thing. Like, my whole life revolved around it since I was 13 years old. Like, all the people that I knew, all of the activities that I did, all the things that I loved the most, I thought that I needed the substances to be able to keep existing the way, just because it was so familiar and it was all the same patterns.
That was your status quo.
Mm-hmm. But once I wiped the slate clean on that, I was all in. I was 100% committed. I'd made the commitment to my wife and my family and all the people around me. And now it was 100% committed in a completely different direction. Positivity. I'm going all in on Hero Windows.
You're like, about to step off. You're like, yeah. Oh, wait, actually, we got to change the name to JKR.
Wait.
Yeah.
JKR Windows.
Now I'm 100% in.
Yep, now let's go.
Yep. That was the mental clarity that comes with being sober. And you know what's so funny? Me and my dad were listening to this podcast, Joe Rogan podcast. He's interviewing this guy that is a heroin and methamphetamine advocate, like you would not believe. It's like this guy, to me, like from my perspective and what I know about drugs, like heroin and meth, it was like,
Those are like
this
the worst.
guy is
Those are like the
completely
worst ones.
off of his rocker.
Now, was he just like in terms of legalization?
Yeah, like
For it?
legalizing it
Mm-hmm.
and like responsible use of meth and heroin. And he says he uses that type of shit every day, and he's responsible with it.
Yeah, like, I guess some people have a threshold for that kind of stuff, right? Like I can drink alcohol and I don't feel like I'm like dependent on it. I've definitely used it to console
And listen,
myself.
because I mean, Joe Rogan himself,
Yeah.
he does the psychedelics, and he's got a couple of his drugs of choice. He said he'd never done coke, but he loves to smoke weed.
Yeah. he
And
does
for
all
me,
that
when I
DMT
smoke
and all-
weed, I could not ever accomplish anything with my fucking life. I can't talk to people. I can't communicate. I can't hardly think. And he enjoys what that does to him. Like it scares him so much that he likes it. And he comes out the other side like with a clarity.
Yeah.
Well,
Some
he
people
was-
just
yeah.
process
He
it
was, I
different.
think he was already like 25 before he even smoked weed for the first time. So it's it's an interesting or different perspective because he wasn't like that little teenage kid
Yeah.
smoking weed, getting in trouble and stuff. It came as he was already like a mature adult, and
Yeah, I
then
don't
he
know.
also uses it like it's not like he wakes up in the morning and smokes, and then noon he smokes and he smokes 2 joints, then
Yeah.
he smokes 2 more. He goes some days without smoking.
See, maybe that's the difference. Is I didn't know how to do that.
yeah.
I think so.
Same thing with drinking.
I think there's fundamental things people need to learn in life, like that comes with maturity. Because I didn't start drinking alcohol until I was 26. I'd done 6 years in the Marine Corps, never touched a drop. And then an injury prompted me. I tried every medication for this nerve damage in my shoulder, and nothing was working. Someone's like, hey, shoot some whiskey. And I was like, all right, yeah, I will. So I shot 2 shots of whiskey, and I slept like a baby for like 20 hours. So it kind of helped me get some physical therapy in my arm again. But, yeah, I never touched it, but I had that maturity to enter into it. And so I could go drink heavy and, like, have a party with some people, and I've never, like, blacked out. Or my experience with alcohol has been very controlled.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Joe Rogan's doing.
Some people can do it. But
Yeah.
I know that there's people listening that have similar experiences to what I've had. And they've got some greatness inside of them. They've got that addictive personality that, if channeled towards something positive, can be extremely beneficial.
Absolutely.
Because I've experienced it firsthand.
Nice.
And if you are one of those people, it's a scary fucking thing. Your whole life revolves around going home at 4:30 instead of working that extra 2 hours to drink the rest of your 30 pack. I've been there. But what if you were to cut that out and focus all that energy and all of that thought process that goes into making sure you get home in time to finish all 18 of those beers before you got to go to sleep with enough time to wake up in the morning to do it all over again.
And, and I think it's that people, they're almost scared of having that because it's like their vice or it's like what they look forward to. But you stop doing that, and then they're like, well, I got to do something else. And they're scared, especially if it's like positive, because it's just so foreign to them, But it's those, say for you, for example, yeah, it's like it's a negative with how it affects you, but also it's a positive because that same thing about you, that addictive trait of you, you turned that into a positive. And I mean, just the time that I've been with JKR Windows for less than a year, I mean, we've grown over 500% as a company. Do we do that without the natural tendencies of JeffersonKRogers with turning those tendencies into a positive? Maybe not, or where you were from as an alcoholic to where you are now. That wasn't that long ago. I mean, we're talking a matter of a couple years, several years, was it 3-4 years?
3 years.
3 years. So, I mean, you've completely turned yourself. I mean, people don't say it anymore, but like, I remember your brothers are like, yeah, he's changed so much. Like they kind of almost didn't know how to take it at first because it is such a fast progress. But it's that thing about you that if it's negative, if you're doing the wrong things, but if you're doing the right things,
You can use it for positive.
it just, it expedites the whole process to where you're further along than you would have been otherwise.
And those things that you're saying about being able to drink socially and it's never gotten serious, those were all of the justifications that I was making too. So it's scary how easy you can just justify things over and over and over, because there's still all those things in the back of my head like, dude, you're never going to be able to accomplish much. You don't even hardly dare to go out and talk to people, but you're going to sit here and justify that you can just do this occasionally and socially and you'll be able to get away with it forever.
Yeah.
So some people can.
It's a fine line.
And I've seen, very small percentage of people, I think, are going to be able to be a functional pothead, functional alcoholic, and operate at a high level. But for the rest of us, the reality is that there's too much energy, too much negativity. It's a fucking poison.
Yeah.
And you can't operate at a high level and accomplish greatness as an alcoholic or a pothead.
Or a heroin addict.
Or a
addict.
fucking heroin addict, Mr. Dr. Carl, whatever his name
Oh,
was.
was it Carl, the black guy, right?
Yeah.
Carl, I just watched a thing with him the other day. I know what you're talking about. He's got
it's
dreads and stuff.
It was, I didn't actually see him. I was just listening to it. But my dad looked it up because he was as baffled as I was. This guy's justifying heroin and methamphetamine
Carl,
use.
Like maybe there's like one or two.
Just saw a thing with him like yesterday.
Like a medicinal use for it, maybe for a treatment, but like, I don't know. You're playing with some fire there,
Oh, absolutely.
Responsible use of heroin.
Yeah.
Hart.
Is
it Hart?
Yeah, Carl Hart.
Yep.
So that's what, like morphine and codeine,
ketamine. Yeah,
they're all.
He's a neuroscientist.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a
Opioids.
doctor.
You're just talking about
Opioids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've listened to podcasts with him before, and he's broken down just a lot of stuff about like how alcohol affects you and how you're basically your body ramps up all the stuff to deal with the alcohol, and then once it's gone, then you go haywire. That's why you can't just go. A lot of people can't go cold turkey off of alcohol because they can have seizures and all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
So you got to. Basically, it's all these upregulations that go on inside, like with your physiology and your chemistry. And then when you take that out of it, your body doesn't know what to do because it has all that upregulation to deal with the alcohol.
Yeah.
And so it throws it all out of whack. So you got to kind of taper off of it and then go off.
Yeah.
But some people go cold turkey, and there's levels to it. But I
went cold turkey, but I thought I was just like having the flu or something, but I was going through withdrawals.
Yeah.
I was sick in bed for like at least 5 days, maybe 6 days.
And luckily, I've never liked alcohol enough to ever get to that point. I think after I graduated high school, I drank for like 15 days in a row. And I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I kept telling myself that every time I woke up with a hangover. It's like,
Why do I do this?
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then it started right back over.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a fine line. Like I find a lot of enjoyment in some really nice whiskeys. I enjoy the taste and the flavor. Not so much getting drunk though. Like I'll get a buzz, but I don't like being drunk. I don't like the next day. So yeah, like it's a fine line. Just people just do. You should just understand yourself. Like you know you have an addictive personality, so you steer clear from that shit, and you're completely like high operating without any of it. You just don't need it. And then some people,
I can still have some fun.
Yeah,
I'm the only motherfucker doing karaoke, and everybody else is drinking.
dude.
I'll attest to that. Yeah, he's
loosen up.
dancing on the dance floor in the club, no alcohol. He's leading the karaoke at the Airbnb. He's like getting the party going, and yeah.
Yep, that was some of the things that I was scared of, because all these things like dancing and karaoke specifically, I love.
Yeah,
It's so fun.
that's your personality.
I'm not all that good at it, but it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And I thought that would all go away if I wasn't drinking, because, just you said the same thing. Like, I'm gonna have to get a couple glasses of whiskey before I can do that.
Yeah. See,
That's what I always thought too, man.
And I've always felt that too, but you kind of inspired me because I don't drink very often, if at all, because of just health reasons. It affects me differently than it affects other people.
Yeah.
So, it was inspirational for me to watch you, when you were dancing or when you were doing karaoke. And that's why I got up and, I was rapping and doing it with you, even though I was kind of uncomfortable, but I was like, look, I don't need alcohol if he can do that, I can do it, And it's that proximity, right? It's like, hey,
It is.
if you see someone doing it, and then it allows you to understand, well, hey, if he can do it, I can do it,
Maybe I can.
I think
Maybe I can.
They've done like some experiments on like the placebo effect. So they gave someone like, it was like a drink that they thought was alcoholic. They were told it was alcoholic, but it was just like juice. And just watch like all these people act drunk when they're not at all. Like, like that's like that would be the most embarrassing thing. You're just like, I'm drunk.
And they're like, no,
and all these scientists are like,
Actually.
no, you're not, motherfucker.
Actually, you're a
you
retard.
dumb bitch. Yeah, but like,
Oh my goodness.
I think it's just that. Like, someone could hand me a shot and be like, hey, here, loosen up so we can do some karaoke. And I'm like, now I'm loose, in my
Yeah,
mind.
just some mineral water.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important to actually have belief. It's because like for the placebo effect, you could literally cure disease because you were told it's going to cure your disease and you believed it. Because you had a drug
you
that
can
did
use
so.
that for your benefit
It's the
too.
power
Yeah.
of your mind, yeah.
Yeah, so understanding what that is and like to your point, using it for your benefit. Your belief that you have in yourself and what you're doing, it could take you across the finish line. You just have to believe it and understand how powerful that belief is.
You guys have probably done this more than me because you have kids, but every time I'm with my nephews or something, or like some really young cousins, they'll do something like jump off. They'll see what I'm doing and they'll try and like, do something cool. Or like we're jumping on the trampoline and they like get hurt and they start crying. They're about to just like, I'm about to cry. And I'm like, dude, that was awesome. You did a backflip.
Dude, I did the
And
same
now
thing.
they're like, wait, it was cool?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my daughter.
I don't hurt anymore. Oh.
We're at the park the other day, and she's learning how to jump off the swing. Get your elbows out like this and everything. So I'm watching her, and she flies through the air and face plants it. I run over there. She's got bark in her mouth, and her face is scratched up, and she's like kind of disoriented, starting to cry. And I was like, baby, that was so awesome, the way you just flew through the air like that, and you landed on your face, and you're just fine. Like, I can't believe it. That was so cool. She was like, yeah, it was. And like, and her nose was bleeding. We had to take her to the bathroom to get her cleaned up and stuff. And I was just joking with her the whole time. And the whole time she's kind of teetering on crying, but we just kind of kept it up, like how cool and awesome it was. And it was cool.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
You get good at that psychology with your kids.
Yeah, and it could have turned into this, oh, baby, are you okay? And she's crying and this and
Yeah,
that,
and
and
then
we all
she
got to go
loses
home.
it.
Yeah, and we all got to go home.
Coddling.
No, just told her it was cool. And that was awesome. I can't believe you did that. That looked so cool. And, and got
Power
it
of
cleaned
the
up,
mind.
and she went right back at it.
That's it, man. And I think a lot of people, I know I was kind of coddled as a kid. Like, we were like barely middle class family. Like, I had some opportunity. We were kind of poor, but like I had a great childhood. And like when I hear you guys talk about yours, and I'm like, damn, like I had it really good. It's actually made me appreciate mine more. I'm like, it was really, but it was the downside was it was so cushy, that it almost did me a disservice in a lot of ways. And
yeah, it's a scary thing.
Yeah, I kind of walked into some places with like an air of entitlement sometimes that I didn't even know is like subconscious. And I think the best thing I could have done, looking back, was joining the military. It rocked my fucking socks off.
Mm-hmm.
It rocked my world, and it gave me some perspective, and it humbled me so much just to understand, like, I had it really good, and like...
Yeah, there's different ways to accomplish that without having to go to the military.
Exactly,
but
yeah.
it's like just a slap in the face and a taste of reality, what real life can be. Like the same concept they teach in the LDS church also, like going on a mission. All these people are geared up, like this is going to be the best experience of their life, and this is why they're doing it, because they're going from this cush life to, you know, another country or across the United States away from their family, and they're fully committed. This is like my entrance into manhood, which, you know, isn't always true.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes manufacture those things in your life. For me, it was, I was the guy on the couch.
Yeah.
Again, I'd pulled myself in and out of that, but I broke my leg really bad, couldn't work, and I just signed a lease with my brothers on this house, and then broke a leg, and I couldn't pay rent. So I was the guy on the couch.
Yeah.
And I knew that that's not where I wanted to stay, and I'd been repeating this pattern now for 6, 7, 8 years, just going in and out of people's houses and staying on their couch and staying in their garage. I stayed in this girl's garage. She had a couch in there. I stayed in there. But this commercial came on for Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, and it was one of those moments, like scary deal. Like I've always wanted to go there. It's kind of scary. There's one in Florida. There's one in Arizona. I have some family in Arizona, so I could probably go stay on their couch. But at least get out of this environment with all the same people and the same phone calls being made every night of the week. Like, where's the party at, bro? So that was one of those manufactured changes of trajectory that sometimes you have to have. Like, you don't always want to have a family member die or get in a crazy car accident or something crazy for you to be able to change trajectory, because that's where a lot of people's stories happen, is with this big moment that changed the trajectory of their life, that was like some catastrophic event.
Yeah.
In mine, I broke my leg really bad, but that led into that decision to get the hell out of there, move to Arizona, and it was one of those.
You had to ride a bike.
I had to ride a freaking bike 25 miles a day to make it work.
Well, you're just embracing, you're realizing that change needs to happen, and you're making it happen.
Yeah.
And like,
sometimes you got to manufacture it.
Yeah. And that I think that was crucial for you to be where you are now, right? Like, everything happens for a reason. That
was an important piece of the puzzle, and you got to be extremely resourceful too sometimes, because you know, if you're at a place and you're not happy with it, if you keep doing the same stuff, you're going to keep getting the same result.
Yeah.
And so I picked up all my stuff and I moved, and I cried my eyeballs out for a whole week. I was so fucking uncomfortable. I was trying to make every excuse and coming up with every plan B to get back home that I could, and calling my mom and talking to my aunts and uncles, and I was just in a rough place, like literally intensely crying for the whole first week, trying to just stick it out. And I did, and I made it work, and I had to be resourceful because I had to make it 40 miles to school every day, and I didn't have a driver's license. So I had to find somebody that would give me a ride first, and then I had to make it to their house in the morning at 4:30 in the morning so we could make the 40-mile drive. So it was riding a 10-speed, 5 miles to his house, 40 miles to school, then I'd bum a ride back to his house, ride my bike to the gym 5 miles away. And then from the gym, I would go to work. I got a job at a restaurant. Started out as a food runner.
Yeah.
The food runner / like busser. Mm-hmm. And then it was 10 miles back home. So at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, whenever I got off, I'd have to ride my bike back home. So it was 25 miles a day for 18 months that I rode to make that work.
Shit.
And just like on the 28th appointment, I finally got my cell. I mean, most people would not put themselves through that.
No, dude.
God, I can't remember how old I was. That was 2009. I was 26 years old, 25, 26 years old. A lot of pride. Most people have pride. And now it's a part of the story, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, well, there's so many lessons to be learned from
Yeah.
it, you know, just being uncomfortable and overcoming all the adversity and all the obstacles. Because, I mean, having to ride your bike that much, I mean, there's every excuse in the world to make that plan B and execute it and get back home to where it's comfortable, and then you're on the couch again. You know, but it's those little things, those little learning lessons along the way that carry over, say, even in your life now, you know. It's changed, the trajectory of your life changed there.
Yeah.
You know.
I did.
And
That's
you
awesome.
you realized you needed change. So you made it happen. You were extremely resourceful, and you made it happen, and you stuck with it. And I think to be honest, I think we should have Mallory come on this podcast next time or something, because she just made one of those decisions.
She would be super excited about that.
Yeah. She just quit her job. And now a week later, she's producing this podcast.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, so opportunities come up.
That's synchronicity. Okay, listen to this one.
Yeah, that's
So-
what we're going to talk about.
That guy that I had gotten a ride with for the first 9 months, he was done with school. And now I had to figure out another ride. And so I had some family members that were willing to help me out. And I got a ride with them a couple of days. And then it's coming down to, like, my cousin had to drive 10 miles to come pick me up because everybody else wasn't available. And he comes to pick me up. And I'm pretty convincing, you know. I call him at like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, Doug, listen, I don't have a ride tomorrow. Brittany said she can't do it. Aunt Margie's busy.
Is this Doug Hancock?
No,
Or
this
different
was
Doug?
another Doug. Doug's my cousin. So Doug comes to pick me up, and we're getting on the freeway. And I got a lot of stuff going through my head. Like, how am I going to make this work? I got to find somebody. I had one kid that was going to give me a ride, but he was a young punk kid, and he kind of backed out on me. Whatever money I was giving him wasn't enough for him to stop out of his way to come pick me up. And we get right on the freeway behind this low-rider flame pickup truck. We're 40 miles away from school, and we get on the freeway right behind this guy. And this is one of those synchronicity moments that I've got stories like this for days. It's crazy. But I was like, follow that guy. Hold on. Don't pass him. Follow him. And so we followed him all the way to school. I didn't know it was that's where he was going, but I just kind of had a feeling because of everything that I had going on and what I was trying to figure out. We followed that guy all the way to school, pulled right into the back parking lot. He jumps out, and his name's Sean Higginbotham. And we still keep in touch today. He was one of the guys, actually, that when I first started doing the 10X stuff, he's like, hold on, bro, take it easy. You only live once. It's like you're working too hard. Come on, Sean. You know me better than that. But then I ended up getting a ride with him the rest of the time that I was at school.
Because he was going that same route.
Because he goes that same route, and he had to jog out of his way a little bit to come pick me up. Because he was driving from, like, he had like a 60-mile drive, and I was just in the middle.
Oh, okay, cool.
But that was just such a cool moment while I was trying to figure it out, and stressful, and I ended up with perfect attendance and SOC for my boy Frankie. SOC, I was stacking up them student of the course pins. I had all kinds of pins because I was like in Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. It's kind of like the what did you call the girl in elementary school that just blew everybody out of the water? She was so smart and kind of kissed everyone's ass.
Like a valedictorian, like honor roll student.
Yeah. So I was.
You were the
I
honor roll.
got a lot of shit because I was like the honor roll valedictorian of Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. It was so easy for me. Perfect attendance and aced everything like 100%.
Wasn't there like a bunch of people that died or something?
Yeah. So yeah, Phoenix is a crazy place to ride a motorcycle. And then you put like 1,500 people in a school where the majority of them ride motorcycles to school. There's people that die pretty much every week at that place.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I've lost too many friends to motorcycle accidents. Some of them their own doing. And then 2019, one of my best friends, just a soccer mom not paying attention, took his life.
That's how most of them end.
Yeah.
There's a kid that, a little girl that goes to school with my kids, her dad, like last week.
It didn't make any sense up until then because I knew he was doing Windows. But, just like most people, like, well, what is it about Windows? It's like, Windows?
Yeah, there's more
Oh,
than
just wait until you see this. So that was a big moment. And I was, I'd said earlier that I was supposed to be a partner with him, and he was bringing me in kind of under the table. He was still working for this company, and it was having me knock doors, and with the idea that anything that I set up, he would claim as his own and then pay me. And then, I'm teaching. I don't have to sign the non-disclosures and the non-competes and everything, and then we can start this business together. So it ended up that him and his brother-in-law started the business. I was supposed to be one of the partners, but I was too busy dinking off to be a part of it. So I just ended up being a sales guy for them and helping them open their Denver office, and then we opened in Gilbert, and then I eventually came up here to Utah County. But yeah, that's where it all started. Was 2014. November 2014 was the very first door that I ever knocked.
And what company was that? Are they still around?
It was K&C Windows, K and C, for Christy and Cyril, which was their wives' names. K&C Windows.
Oh, that's cute.
And then it changed to RMK Windows,
Oh, okay.
which was
their new wives' name.
Yeah.
it was actually
money
the
they traded
name
up
of
wives.
my buddy Brian was a professional snowcross racer, so he raced snowmobiles.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
RMK was actually the name of a snowmobile, a Polaris RMK, Rocky Mountain King. So that's what they named
that's
their
funny.
window business. That's what it's still named today.
I've heard of RMK.
And that same company, Western Transport Logistics. So Jefferson recruited my brother-in-law, Bob, to go be his foreman. So when Jeff went to go do Windows, Bob took his spot, and Bob hired me to be his foreman. So it was like all these years ago, I was like, well, what's Jefferson doing now? He's doing something with Windows, and that was like day one. I knew Jeff was doing Windows.
That was the first time you heard of it.
Yep, and then
now
as he
you're here.
started his company some years later, then I started following it, because we were friends on social media already, and so I was kind of watching him build it and everything, and so I already knew kind of the deal. And then when he reached out to me, I mean, it was perfect timing for me. But I mean, like I said, I already kind of watched him build it and everything, and so I just basically plug and play. He brought me in, and I just started my own business and everything, and some of my first work I was actually doing for Jefferson. But
you were talking about that.
But yeah, then I put all that aside and went full send on JKR Windows.
Full send, buddy.
And it has been great.
Talking about synchronicity, would you say you had kind of like a rebirth when you were in Phoenix?
I
Like
think
it's like new life was added to you?
so. Definitely, like the move away from St. George was a huge impact. Getting away from all of the people, all the patterns, going to Phoenix and living with my aunt and uncle that were and still are churchgoers and LDS to the core. And so, I was trying to figure out life. I was 25 years old, and all I'd ever known was, for the past 12 years, was partying, drinking, smoking, same people and influences.
Same routine.
And it was, even as scary as it was a big change and a big impact just being around some good, wholesome people that really cared about me and what I was doing with my life.
Yeah. So I bring that up because the phoenix, in mythological sense, is a bird that's reborn from its own ashes.
I love that.
That's like, yeah,
I love that.
Add a little bit of flavor to your synchronicity.
And that's
talk
awesome.
there.
And it's like, the changes you decided to make in your life with getting uncomfortable, getting away from everything that you knew, that's what put you down in Phoenix, which ultimately led you to meet that guy to get into the window game and started that trajectory, which we're all here now.
And then same kind of thing happened when I moved away from Phoenix. Like I'd already been a really good drinker and a pot smoker and a partier. And then all of the people that I was hanging out with, all of these now more successful people with more money, are partying at a high level. Mm-hmm. And it was, you know, I had gotten in a couple of fights down there and ran off into the abyss with no shoes on after a night of drinking, and everybody's wondering where I'm at. And I show up the next morning after turning my pants into moccasins and walking 10 miles. I walked into Walmart and I stole a pair of green gym shorts and some sandals and told the guy, I'll be back later to pay for these.
It's been a night.
It's been one of those nights. So yeah, I'd gotten to a point down there too that it was like repeating some of the same patterns. I got to get the fuck out of here. And so we packed up and moved back to Utah, to northern Utah this time, because I was still scared to go back to St. George. It's like, fuck, I still know all that same stuff is there waiting for me. And I hadn't changed any of the habits.
Yep.
I just thought I needed to change location again to get away from it. And so I ended up in the fucking Arctic tundra. We're shoveling our driveway as we're pulling up with the U-Haul truck. I was like, I don't know. This is not the best idea.
Especially straight from Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot now about where your main headquarters is. It's in St. George. Like, you have come back, and not only have you conquered yourself, but you've also conquered all the habits and things that come along with the St. George location.
It is.
For you personally.
Yeah, going back to St. George as a sober person for the first time was a completely different experience. Like seeing St. George for the first time with adult eyes instead of being fucked up and high. You know, you get to see the beauty and appreciate what this place is.
Yep.
It's such an amazing place to have a family and to raise kids and to have my upbringing and all of my relatives there too.
And I think maybe we should riff on that real quick, because like just the change of location sometimes is enough to start, but is it permanent? If you just change your location, you're just kind of running.
For me, it wasn't permanent because I tried it a couple of times.
Yeah, well, if you end up 10 miles out in the desert using your pants as moccasins and it's a Bear Grylls episode all of a sudden, you're like, I've got to survive. I've got to make it back to civilization.
You're stealing stuff from Walmart.
And you're like, I've got to steal these gym shorts from Walmart to survive.
I wish I would have gone back and got the footage of me walking in shirtless with my jeans torn to bits because I had torn them to pieces trying to make moccasins out of them. It didn't work that well. With the intent that I still had another 4 miles to walk home, and I needed some. This is really embarrassing now that the sun's out and people are going to see me wearing these pants.
Yeah.
And I don't have any shoes. So I took some green gym shorts and some gray sandals. And my wife, I got those sandals out like a couple of years later, and she's like, "You still have those fucking sandals? You still have those fucking green shorts?"
That's
It's
rad,
a reminder,
man.
I traumatized her with that night.
I think you should frame that shit
And
put it
you
in
know,
a museum.
a big shout out to your wife, Chandel, because, you know, she went through a lot with you, and she stuck through it, and to get to where you guys are now, it's fucking awesome, dude.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's an incredible person to be able to handle my ass.
Nice. What other topics we got there on that list?
Well, I think we're about close to an hour and a half in.
Yeah, we've gone over a little bit, but we're just flowing. So, I mean, most podcasts, it's a long form of discussion, right? So, 2 hours, an hour minimum. But what else is on the table, man? What do we got on? What?
Taking action was one
action.
that we had.
Okay, check this out. So I'm glad you guys brought that up because I wanted to talk about this before. I wasn't sure if it was going to be another podcast or if we just got to jam on it real quick before we were done. But over this last weekend, I got to spend some time with my second cousin. His name's Ron, and he is the CEO of Schreiber Foods. Which, have you guys heard of Schreiber Foods?
I haven't.
Negative.
It's crazy. Nobody's ever heard of Schreiber Foods. But it started as, I think it was Cache Valley Cheese.
Okay.
You've heard of Cache Valley Cheese, right?
Yeah.
So now they're their own brand, and Schreiber is like a co-packer for all of the biggest places that need cheese, like McDonald's. They make 100% of all of McDonald's cheese. Schreiber. And he's the CEO of this place.
Is that worldwide or?
Worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're like
Holy
$8 billion company,
Yeah.
Schreiber Foods.
Damn.
And he's the CEO. He actually retired, and then I'm sure that they tried out a couple of things, but this guy is he's so good. They said, listen, we're going to need you back. I'm not sure exactly what the story goes like, but something along these lines, that this guy is just so good at what he does, and he's such a great leader, and he's got so much experience. And his story, starting with Cache Valley Cheese as the custodial supervisor in Logan, Utah, where they originated, he's literally one of those success stories that started from the bottom and now is at the very tippity top as the CEO.
We got to get him on here, man.
Yep,
That
absolutely.
sounds-
So we stayed at his house over this last weekend. Incredible house in the Colony in Park City. You know, something like, he bought the house for like $6 million. It's probably worth way more than that because he bought it in the downturn in 2009.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I bet you it's doubled at least.
So yeah, if it's not doubled, I'll bet it's at least 9 or 10 million now. So just an incredible house up on the finger of this mountain, overlooking the slopes, and we skied right from his house down onto the Canyon Resort. And I didn't even realize he was going to be there. I just thought we were going there. That's where we were staying, and he ends up being there, meeting us in the driveway as we're pulling in. And the guy's got a presence and just a lifelong list of stories, being an incredible human being. And one of the important things about this trip, and that I keep trying to remind myself to do, because I have a tendency to ramble on and tell my stories because I like hearing myself talk, and I feel like I got some good stories, is also just asking questions. When you get around somebody and you're within that proximity to greatness, they have some stories to tell. They have some things to teach you.
Little anecdotes and things.
If you're not present enough or self-aware enough to ask questions and to pay attention, and you just want to talk about yourself the whole time, you're missing out on some huge opportunities.
Yeah.
So
It's that ego getting in
So
the way.
same thing, like same concept that we talk about with Bobby. It's like, listen, Bobby, it's like, I know you're trying to accomplish some stuff, but there's just as much value in listening as there is about talking,
Yeah.
or more.
I think all three of us in this room have suffered from that at some point in
Yeah,
our lives.
absolutely.
And still do on occasion.
And that's, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I like talking about myself.
Well, that's
Everybody
why
likes talking
That's
about
everybody's
themselves.
favorite subject is themselves.
That's why we're having a podcast, so we can brag. Now, look at my tag right here. You guys want to check me out? Look at
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
That's why I put it there.
But it was a cool experience because he's been following my journey. And we're not like super close family members. We're second cousins. His dad is my grandma's little brother. So I don't know if you'd consider that second cousins or what you call it, but he's my cousin. He's my dad's first cousin.
Yeah, second
he's
cousin.
my cousin.
Yeah, I have tons of those.
So, you know, I got the chance to shoot the shit with him this weekend, ask him some questions. And one of the last things we got to talk about Saturday night was the success principles, and what success principles that you've used in your life, what are the ones that are important to you, which ones are like the common ones right now. And I need to get more clear, because I could talk about some of the things that I've used throughout my journey over the last 3 years, and some of the principles like the negativity and writing the goals and things like that. He's real clear on what his are.
He
And
just knows them all.
there's 5 of them. He knows exactly what they are. They're only 2 words each. And he's got a very clear definition of each one. Very articulate.
Yeah. Well, let's get him on the next one if we can.
And even more so, maybe set it up to where maybe he can give our guys
On training.
talk, a little
Yes.
training,
Training.
and then come in and then do the podcast. So it's all kind of done at once.
I think those should go hand in hand. If we're going to have someone come on the podcast, on the JeffersonKRogers podcast, they should come and, talk to the team, the homies.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So he was just getting ready to tell me his 5 success principles. I said, hold on. Let me get my notes app out. I got to take notes. So I wrote them down. So number 1.
Wait, pause. Do we want to save this for his podcast when he's on?
We can get him
Or do
out,
you
and then
wanna
we'll have him
preface
go
him?
go more in depth.
You wanna
So
preface
listen, the way that he explains this is a whole lot better than I'm going to be
Okay,
able to.
so yeah, hit him.
So I want to go over these because I'm trying to solidify them with myself too, and I want to tell you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
So number one is dream big. So first thing I do every morning when I wake up is I get my goal book out and I write my goals down, and they are fucking ridiculous goals. What I've learned is that writing small goals that you can accomplish easily isn't all that impactful in your everyday life, and being able to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish and become the very best version of yourself. So the way that he explained this one is going to be so good if we can get him on here. Dream big is number one, and it's a big number one. Number two is expect success. So not only are you writing these things down and dreaming big, but you're expecting these things to happen. You're teaching your mind to believe and expect that you can accomplish these things. As big and as astronomical and audacious as they are, you believe that it's possible. Like when I made the goal to do 10 million last year, that was one of those goals that almost didn't seem like it was even possible, and I had a hard time believing it. I had to convince myself that it was possible. Expect success. Number three, take action. And this is a common one from, all people that are successful, is you got to take action. And just like the law of attraction, if you guys have ever seen that movie, The Secret, the one thing that I think they missed the mark on a little bit in that movie, at least from a young punk kid, the first time I watched it, was the action part. Mm-hmm. Like thinking things into existence and affirmations and manifesting things into your life just by thinking them there's some truth to that, but one of the most important pieces of the puzzle
You got to get up. And
is
do
that
shit.
massive action in the direction of those affirmations. So thinking big, expecting success, and taking massive action towards the direction of whatever those goals and dreams are that you have. And then number four is, he said he's changed it recently. It was originally play fair. Like, I'm going to go out there, and because I'm so confident in my abilities and where I'm going and the goals and the dreams that I have, and I believe in myself to be able to accomplish these things, and I'm taking so much action, I'm going to work harder than anybody out there. I want to be able to beat you fair and square. So I'm going to do everything by the book. I'm going to beat you fair and square. This is kind of the way that he explained it. So no shortcuts, like full on, fair and square. And then he said he changed it to do good. So kind of a combination of just being really prideful in your process and knowing that you don't have to cut any corners, and you're going to beat somebody fair and square just because you know you can outwork anybody. But do good is also, along the way, you're not just in it for yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing good along the way and making an impression, making an impact, and doing good along the way. So I think, one of the reasons why JKR Windows has been so successful is because one of our main focuses is the impact and the good that we are providing for our customers.
And employees.
And employees, yeah.
And employees.
Because we're driving it,
Uh-huh.
We're operating the levers and oiling the cogs and making it go.
That's where I get my biggest fulfillment, is offering value to my guys
That's why I'm here.
and gals.
And honestly, in September, I was looking for a job, just moved to St. George, got laid off for COVID. We're just brand new house. We had a mortgage. I'm this is not a time to be unemployed. So I'm looking for a job, latched on to JKR because you were the first one to get back to me. J-Rod did my interview. And I was like, yeah, he's a cool guy. I'm and I've been in enough sales gigs where I kind of they make you can make the job sound fucking awesome. And then you get there and, so I did my due diligence. I was like, all right, so what what is it? Like, what's the commission structure? What is this? I'm like, give me the details. And he gives me all the details. And then I was like, all right, what's the turnaround time on pay period? Like, how often am I get paid? And I'm expecting like 2-3 months. And he's like, 2 weeks. And I was like, you're shitting me. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, that's there. I'll come check you guys out.
You're looking for an out on this. It's like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm doing door to door. I've told myself that for years because I've been approached by so many dudes from Vivint, dudes slinging alarms or like whatever. Yeah, bro, you can come sell for me this summer?
Summer sales, dog.
Summer sales, you can make $50K easy. You just sneeze and you got $50K. It's an accident. Like, I'm like, okay. And I just wasn't about that. I know people could go make money. I was like, I just don't know if I want to do it. My pride was getting in the way. My expectations of how I should be successful were getting in the way. I wasn't open-minded. So then I get to J-Rod, and you're like, okay, we'll check it out. And I come here, and even, for those of you who don't know, Mal is my fiancé. It's French. But anyway.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, it's a French word. She was kind of skeptical too. She's like, yeah, well, I'm like, well, I'll just try it out until I can find something better. And then I come and met you fuckers. And I was like, God damn. I'm like, I haven't been around this kind of people for a little bit. Like, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. And then I started knocking doors, having some success. And I'm like, I can do this. Like, I can do this all day. Like, the job is easy to do. I've done it before. I mean, it's not easy to do, but it's
when you have
familiar.
an environment to show up, it makes it easier.
Yes, when you got people to lean on and they're not backstabbing you and doing all sorts of weird shit. Like, it's a great team. Everybody's growing together. You know, hey, come stand on my shoulders for a minute. I'll stand on yours.
And I remember in the interview, because you kind of, like you said, you started asking questions, and it's almost like he started controlling it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, just feeling like it's not supposed to quite be that way. But then, but, you know, it was what it was. But then when I got into the culture, that's when he kind of lightened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And, like, I could tell it just kind of sparked interest a little bit to him. You know, just going over, like how we are with each other, how we're trying to build each other. We're all in it for each other. And it just kind of sparked a little bit of interest. He had a little twinkle in his eye.
Twinkle.
He had a twinkle. And then once he got into the flesh, because it was a Zoom interview, so it wasn't.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Because
Zoom
I was
interview.
up north still.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And then it was a couple weeks removed because he still had to move. So, you know, and I sent him all the information.
How about that synchronicity?
Yeah, I sent him all the information. I was like, you know, hopefully he shows up. And he showed up, and then he saw it in the flesh. And that was that. And then I closed a couple deals for him in one day.
And we did the Zoom call with the Draper office, and I was wearing a pink Hawaiian shirt. Mm-hmm. And Justin's like, hey, nice fucking shirt. And I was like, thanks, man. And I was like, I'm going to like this place.
Yep. Yeah, man.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, like you said, synchronicity. It was just, it was meant to be, man. And I'll always remember that.
You
that
do
Zoom
good,
call.
and you'll attract the right kind of people.
Exactly. Yeah. It just falls into place.
And, you know, and I don't know if it were someone else that did the interview, if it would have went the same way. I don't know how it would have went. But I felt like I was the one that needed to be the one to talk to him and get the message across. And I did it in the right way, and it brought him.
Yeah. Because if Andy, let's be honest, if Andy was on the Zoom call with all his gold chains, I'd be like, is this the Mafia? Are we in the 90s?
Yeah.
I'm like, is this Miami Vice?
And also, I think
that's some more of that synchronicity. It's
and
got to be
I
right
think
place, right time, right
I
person.
interviewed McKay that same day.
Did you really?
Yeah. So we got
You
two.
must have been feeling good that day.
Yeah, I got two heavy hitters that day.
Yeah.
And they are both directors for us.
I think
now.
we were the only two that stuck around off of Indeed.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless someone up here in the Draper office did, but
So I think we've got a
Maybe
couple of new
JJ.
guys.
I
So
think
JJ
came.
and
Jamon.
Jamon. No, Jamon was from Tristan.
Oh, really?
oh really?
But Bon and Jose
Okay.
or Jesus, Jose.
Were they the new guys today?
Yeah, those are the new guys today.
I was in here setting this up. I didn't get to say hi to them.
So I think they both came from Indeed too.
Oh, that's cool.
We're still down in our process on our hiring.
Yeah. Well, I think this will help a lot too. You know, we'll attract the right kind of people that they want to see us fuck
Absolutely.
around and talk about.
Okay, you guys want to
success.
hear number 5?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
So we got
Tangent.
dream big, expect success, take massive action, play fair, and do good are number 4. And have fun.
Hey,
I was going to joke and said, and 5 is do gooder. Just kidding.
do gooder.
That's important, though.
But have fun
Absolutely.
is an important piece of the puzzle, right?
Dude.
And I think we know how to fucking work hard, but we're also pretty good at playing hard too.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Well, there's little things you can do, like on the job, to just, have a good time. Like, laugh at yourself, laugh at what was said. Like, sometimes I'll go do a pitch, and I'll, like, maybe try something new, or, like, I'll do it out of order because they, like, bring something up. And then I, like, walk away from the door. I'm like, did I say that? I said it like, I'm like, well, shit. No wonder they said no. I said it like that.
Yep. Sometimes it's worth laughing at yourself.
Yeah, there's Miyamoto Musashi, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the samurai guy.
Uh-huh.
I want to start quoting some of him stuff on this podcast and talking about him. Dope dude. So we'll save that for another time. But he says, think of yourself lightly and think of the world deeply. I always like that.
And there's a Tim Ferriss and Jocko podcast on him, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they kind of condense everything, and you can learn the story, get the gist of it within just a couple hours.
Exactly. And,
But
it's cool.
And the fun that I have, because obviously we set ourselves up to go have fun. We do these trips and things, but just the fun that I have, just talking to you, joking around. We got all these little funny things we do, and we have like a different handshake every week.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Just this right now is fun. And we're just sitting here talking about how to improve.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. And it becomes more and more fun the more successful you have. Like, someone told me once, I don't know who, this is probably someone's coined this, but it's like, it's fun to make money. It's enjoyable to make money, but it's more fun to make money with your friends.
Yep.
And that's what I feel like we're doing here. And, like, I feel like everybody at JKR just, we get along great, except for, like, JJ and Noah. They're going to fight probably soon.
Well, Andrew and Noah,
Andrew
but
and
it's
Noah.
all in fun.
Noah's on the end of that. I think Noah's.
Yeah, he likes to talk that shit.
They like to have.
Just another form of fun we're
Yeah.
having around here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But I make it a point to develop some little personal relationship and some little funny thing between me and each individual. So when I go and when we're up here and I go around and hug everybody, there's always something little funny that I can say, or some little thing that we've developed
It's an
along
inside
the way.
joke.
Yeah, inside
And
jokes.
it's
all
not
day.
forced or anything. It's not like, hey, we have to think of something new. It just happens naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good group of people here.
It is, man. It's phenomenal.
Those are the 5 things then?
That was the 5. Yep.
Well,
I like them.
well, we
Can you
should get
send
him
me a
on.
screenshot of that?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe even just Voxer everybody
Yeah, that would be cool.
or Pronto.
Yeah, we gotta get some people on. So if you guys are watching this YouTube video, or if you're seeing it on Facebook, leave some comments about anybody you know that has an awesome story that we could get on the podcast, and we'll make it happen. We'll get people on here, and it could be anybody. We don't care what walk of life. If we could interview like a Tibetan monk, dude, I think we'd do it.
Yeah. Oh
Absolutely.
We'd have a translator, like tell us the
We'll
secrets
have
of the
JJ
Himalayas.
translate it.
Yeah.
But we have all our Instagram handles on there. If you guys have any questions for us, or topics, things that you'd like us to cover,
Or
go ahead and
advice.
message us. Yeah, advice. We're
Well,
always
I'm
open
sure
to
we
that.
I'm sure we got lots of people out there that want to give us some advice.
Yep. But feel free to reach out. Let us know what's going on, and maybe even if you want to be a guest on our podcast, reach out. We'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Wrapping it up. I feel pretty good. Any final thoughts on what we covered today?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah. Just be actionable, be positive, be open, and have a vision.
So yeah, along those lines. So all of this positivity and podcasts and books and all of the stuff that you're trying to do to improve, if you keep doing the same shit over and over, you're just wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take something. You don't have to use it all or be able to implement everything. It's just impossible to do it. Take one concept that resonated with you and run with it. Write it down, put it in your notes, put it in your goals, and start to focus on creating some new habits. Because the difference between who you are today and the version of you 1 year from now is the people you hang out with, the books and the podcasts that you read, and also the actual real actionable shit that you put into play in your everyday life to change your habits.
Yep, and it's that proximity to power or greatness. So try to find people that you can be around that are on that same path. And even if it's a conference, a convention, if you got to pay money, whatever it is you got to do, start putting yourself around those people and watch what happens with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, you can come be a part of a group like this and have some impact and have kind of that mentor environment to be involved in. But now for me, to be able to take it to the next level and surround myself with great people, you can't just walk in and say, hey, thinking about starting a mastermind to somebody like Sam Taggart or to Ron Dunford, this guy that's the CEO of this $8 billion company.
Oh, so that's Logan's told me all about it.
Yeah.
I've heard all. Yeah,
It's Logan's uncle.
yep, I've heard all about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Logan's dad is pretty accomplished too.
Yeah.
Military guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going to say, what's the start? How does someone start this? Let's say I'm a viewer at home. I'm sick of my fucking life. I'm sick of the habits I have. You know, I know I can do better. I know the potential, and I'm scared shitless of it. And I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. Any age, I could be 45, I could be 30, I could be 23. It doesn't matter. I'm there. What's the starting point?
I started with podcasts. That's where it started with me, just kind of tuning in to higher thinking and people that just have accomplished things.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tim Ferriss, that was a big one that really stuck out to me. And I'd only found out about him because I was researching the ketogenic diet, and he had some stuff on it. Just randomly went across it.
And he's an impressive guy outside of
Yeah,
diet too.
and I started just focusing on that, looking up videos for him with ketosis and stuff. And then it flowered into this, oh, this is the 4-hour work week guy. Oh, he's invested in this, and he's invested in this.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Tools of the Titans and all these things. And I'd only was one little thing that led me to him, you know. And that's why it's important just to start seeking information. And it starts, it's a seed that plants and it grows and it flowers and it fruits.
Okay.
So I think for me it was, first of all, you have that something inside of you that says you're not doing enough. You've got more in you. You're meant to be something better than this trajectory that you're on. So you got to have that first to be able to start making those moves. So we're talking to people that are already past that, and now it's either podcasts, if you're a listener and you absorb information that way. Like Mikey said that he has a hard time reading, but he gets a lot out of his podcasts and his Audible books.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I listen to books, my mind goes so many places. I still haven't developed that focus yet for the listening portion like I have, because I've trained myself for the past 10 years to be able to be ultra focused and get involved in a book. So
Reading physical pages
and just being present with my book and slowing my mind down from all of the distractions and just getting involved right here in this book.
I'm the same way.
Mm-hmm. So mine was a similar story, but it was the 10X rule. Grant Cardone, at that time in my life, message resonated with me with his message of addiction and overcoming that and his path to success. And that 10X rule, and 10X your life, 10X your relationships, massive action.
So did you read that before you had changed your environment and before you were on the path to sobriety?
I did.
So the first step is acquiring the information. The second step is taking an action of some sort to make a change, like changing your environment, changing your friends, escaping to a new city, like starting fresh somewhere. So I would fully agree with that. And that's what J-Rod said. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Step one, learn about how to do this shit. Step two, apply what you learn, fucking do something about it. And like, there's some awesome videos that Brad Lee does, you know, how we choose to tolerate certain things. So maybe we can talk about that later on. But step one, learn. Podcasts, books, speakers. What else? What other means?
Well, and
Events.
has some value
Events.
in yourself. Understand, like, you are important. You have a lot of value, and
So you're investing in yourself.
Invest in yourself, yeah, and have the confidence and start building confidence. If it means you need to exercise or eat right or whatever, just start understanding there's a value to yourself and start investing and building yourself up. That's a huge step. And then getting around people that are like-minded.
Yeah. Because like I think a lot of people too, it's very daunting. Like you were talking about, when we invite a new person into the company, and sometimes we can overwhelm them with all the possibilities they could do. It's the same concept. If you're sitting there on your couch, if you're the king of the couch sitters, like Jeff was, or if you're the king of the video games, like I was, it's really easy to stay there. And because when you do think about rising to an occasion and reaching your full potential, being the best version of yourself, that's a huge daunting task to look at. And you start thinking about it, and then the way it just gets further and further away in your mind because you can't quite see the trail. Mm-hmm. So you're like, I don't even know how to get there. I don't know where to fucking start.
Well, and this is a concept I figured out a long time ago, and as I apply it, it becomes more and more like, I don't know what the word is. Solidified. So, it's important to be the low man on the totem pole, because if you're the top dog, then you plateau. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, whatever your respective group is, yeah, you want to work your way up to where you can be, one of the top guys or whatever it is. But once you get there, figure out a new group of guys so you can level up. Mm-hmm. Start at the bottom again and work your way up. So like, say Jefferson, for example, obviously he's the top dog. He's the founder of the company, okay? But he puts himself around, again, proximity to greatness. I mean, he's paid money. He's done this and done that, but he's put himself around these high-performing, high-achieving, highly successful people, and that's only allowed him to increase how fast
incrementally,
100%.
Exactly.
And when you get to that level, that was the point that I forgot I was trying to make earlier, is you got to start paying big money to be within proximity to these high achievers and big time personalities.
Yeah.
They don't have time for little peons.
Yeah, and you got to pay the money.
Time.
And then you also got to put yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Like when you went to Door Con a couple years ago, and you still had to go up and introduce yourself to people, mm-hmm. and shake hands and look them dead in the eye like you're equals.
Absolutely.
And that's how you network, right? But so incrementally,
you got to build up to it.
Yeah, and so if a 25-year-old Jeff who just finished his, what do you call it? You're the valedictorian of Moto Institute. Like, if that Jeff was tossed into a door-to-door con, would he have reached out? Fuck no.
No.
Incrementally.
I remember my first networking event. Didn't talk to one person. It was at the Talking Stick Resort in Arizona. I'd worked myself up like I was going to go talk to people, like this sweet opportunity, networking event, and completely choked.
Yeah.
Didn't talk to one person.
Like there's on this podcast too, I hope any guests that we can get on, and even us, I hope we can feel comfortable showing our vulnerabilities, because that's how you make them strong. And a weak person hides their vulnerabilities. A strong person shows them to the world so they get stronger. Yep. And I think if you're watching this again, if you're looking for that starting point, just invest in yourself, we'll say it. And that's knowledge, exercise, everything. It's you. You're the driving force.
And it's money, too. Before anybody starts thinking about investing in real estate or investing in startups.
Yeah, like a get-rich-quick thing.
You should be investing in yourself.
Bitcoin, stocks.
Going to conferences, buying books, listening to podcasts.
Yeah, reading on the internet.
Paying for mentoring and coaching. One of the common things that you'll hear from successful people, the more successful they are, the more they realize that they need coaches and mentors in their life. And they wish that they would have known it earlier. Because the reason why I've been able to accomplish as much as I have been able to accomplish in the past 2 years is because of the coaches and the mentors that I've had help me along the way. And now I'm starting to develop coaches and mentors in every area of my life. I've got somebody that I work with at the gym. Oh, wave your arm.
There we go.
With the
I guess we weren't moving enough. The
Yeah,
motion
we all
sensors.
held still.
But success, physical, mental, and it's starting to become more and more well known. I was watching motocross the other day, and one of the top dogs is talking about he's got a riding coach, he's got a personal trainer, and he's got a mental coach.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of an unknown thing, especially in high performance sports, how important it is to have your mental game as strong as anything else.
Yeah, or stronger probably.
Huh?
Yeah.
And if you listen to how Tiger Woods goes about his game, how a lot of the Olympic gold medal winners go about their game and their work up to going out and performing at a high level, their mental game is strong. It's world class.
Yeah.
Their ability to visualize and see things before they actually happen and have it play out in their mind very clearly. The coaches and the mentors are what bring that awareness.
That's awesome. So, step 1, invest in yourself.
There you go.
Yep.
Everybody get to work.
That's it.
Let's go.
All right. Till next time, y'all. We're checking out. Thank you, Mallory.
Always.
Let's roll.
Peace.
Peace.